Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of my podcast. We have very special guest today joining all the way from Brazil. We got Antonio Araújo joining the podcast. Hi Antonio.
Hello, Channa. How are you?
I'm good. How about you?
I'm all right. I'm all right.
Yeah.
Everything is going well. I cannot complain.
So Antonio, tell me a little bit about where are you right now? Tell me a little bit about your city.
All right. I live in Recife. It is a 3 million inhabitant city. It's a beach town,
Mm,
the far northeast of Brazil. So we are at the northeastern tip of Brazil, in the Atlantic Ocean. And Recife is the capital of the Pernambuco state, and one of the biggest cities in our country as well. I was born here. I already lived in Sao Paulo for 7 years. Sao Paulo is the biggest Brazilian city. It's in southeast. As you know, Brazil is a very, very big country.
right.
Uh, Territory-wise, we're a huge country. So there are big distances. From Recife to Sao Paulo, we're talking about a 3-hour flight. Uh, but Sao Paulo is where my bands, most of my projects, everything happen. So Korzus, my main band is from Sao Paulo,
Mm.
and all the other projects as well.
Yeah, I mean, San Paulo is always with metal, right? Because all the big bands like Sepultura, everyone started San Paulo, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, Sepultura actually started in Minas Gerais, but São Paulo is where they got big, and São Paulo is certainly the biggest metal scene in Brazil.
Mm.
Is where you have the biggest quantity of shows. Um, Pretty much every tour, every big tour that comes to South America goes to São Paulo. So, well, at least used to go before that craziness with the coronavirus. But we used to see shows, lots and lots of shows in São Paulo. So when I lived there for 7 years, I got to see most of the bands that I like live, and it's a very active, very big scene, a very big city, 15 million inhabitants, and well, it's a big economy, so that's why we have such a big scene there.
Right. So, how did the pandemic affected you, Antonio?
A lot. Well, to say the least, I haven't got up on a stage since February last year.
Mm.
We cannot play live anymore. We have no idea when we are coming back officially. It is still a doubt at this point. The good thing is that there are more and more people getting vaccines every day in Brazil.
Mm.
Uh, if I'm not wrong, I think around 20% of the population already got vaccinated. And that's a big number because we're talking about more than 250 million inhabitants.
Yeah.
So there is some hope now that life can somehow be normal again. I honestly don't know what's going to happen. It's everything right now is uh, it's going to be a surprise. I think within the next months we're going to see what's going to happen.
Mm.
Some people say that in the end of this year there might be tours happening. There might be bigger concerts happening. There are already some events happening in Sao Paulo, but still very punctual, one here, one there, and they're trying to make it work somehow.
Right.
Because the whole market, the whole show business market in Brazil took a big blow with this COVID thing. It's a lot of time without working, without making money, and so it's a big productive chain. We're not talking only about musicians. We're talking about
Right.
producers. Light techs, sound techs, roadies, tour managers, all sorts of people that works with transportation.
Right.
renting sound and lighting equipment, you know. So it's a big thing that is pretty much on hold till this craziness passes, you know. But well, I think now we can have more hope on it, you know. Now we have the sensation that it's coming to an end, you know. So who knows? Maybe good news soon.
Yeah, I hope so also, because I'm also looking forward to, going back to a live show. Last one I went was also March last year. So it's because in 2019 I went to 60 plus shows, but in 2020 I was only able to go to 8 shows. So,
You went to more than I did.
yeah.
Because in 2020, here since the ending of March, everything stopped. We spent like 6 months locked inside our houses. At
Right.
least it was a crazy moment, man.
Yeah. But how did you use the time, this lockdown period and all this? How did you use it, Antonio?
Well, I played a lot of guitar. You know, I tried to get my shit together, not go crazy. You know, because it's easy to go crazy on this with so much time home. You know, and I have a kid. I have a daughter with 5-year-old. I'm married to, so it's a challenge to be so for so long locked.
Mm,
You know, within our house. But we are privileged. Nothing. We never had problems with serious problems. You know, the only problem that we had is dealing with this. You know, dealing with so much time in reclusion. So I tried to play guitar as much as I could. You know, I tried to compose. I tried writing. You know, and during the pandemic, I wrote and I started a new project, a death metal band called Lockdown. We have it's with me, a drummer called Bruno Santin from Sao Paulo. That he's a truly amazing drummer. The bassist from Claustrophobia, that is called Rafael Yamada, and João Gordo, the vocalist of Ratos de Porão, that is a classical Brazilian band.
mm,
Me and Gordo, we have been friends for a long time, and we have been, you know, we always wanted to do something together. And he loves death metal and brutal stuff, and I came up with these songs, and they were really fast and really brutal. And I showed him some of the stuff, and he really liked it. So we decided to make an EP, and there's already this EP was launched in the beginning of this year. It's called Unholy Ceremony Heretic.
right.
It's everywhere in all the streaming services. If you look for it, Lockdown, you can write Lockdown Death Metal. There are 2 videos on YouTube for the song Archangel and for the song Desprezo. That is the only song sang in Portuguese.
Right.
There's also another lyric video for a song that's called Hymn of Hate, and it's pretty cool. It's a very angry, it's a very hateful record, you know, because it's pretty much what I was feeling. You know, I was really frustrated with the whole situation, and I wanted to put this out somehow in the form of music, you know. So I came up with these songs. All the songs and all the lyrics are mine, and they're pretty cool. If you guys want to hear them, go there and check it out.
Yeah, I actually listened to Archangel. I really love that song. And it's very appropriate. I mean, the band name Lockdown, because with the times. Antonio, one thing I also realized is what happened like last year is very much metal, right? I think Megadeth, like all these bands, actually talk about these things already in their music before, right? Because it's all Brave New World, it's dystopia and everything we
Yeah,
see in the media, right?
indeed, we are living a form of dystopia right now. We are living. Well, if someone told me this 2 years ago, I wouldn't believe. you know.
Yeah.
If someone came to me and say, hey, you're going to be locked down for 1 year, you're not going to leave your house, there's going to be a pandemic and all that, I would say, it's bullshit, dude, that's not happening, you know. And it did, and it's been a while. If I stop to think about it, it's been a while, man. It looks like eternity. It's been like 1.5 years since this shit started, you know.
Yeah.
And we are already getting used to it, you know, to the limitations and wearing a mask and everything.
Hmm.
It's bizarre how we are getting used to this. I have this feeling that things will never be the same again, you know, after this. But who knows? Time will tell.
Yeah. I also feel, I mean, we always say we want to go back to normal, but I don't think we are going to go back to where the way it was, right? Normal is whatever that's going to happen. So it will be, you know, it will be
Yeah,
different.
probably it's going to be different somehow. It's going to be different. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So Antonio, I want to talk to you a little bit about your childhood. Can you tell me a little bit about your growing up, and then how did, like, what was your like earliest memories of music?
Music. I've always liked music, you know, since a kid. My dad always played keyboards, and my father is, as he likes to say, he's a frustrated musician, you know. He has good ear. He never liked rock and roll, actually,
Mm.
but he likes more of, you know, traditional Brazilian music, you know, like music from South America, like boleros and things like that. You know, it's but he was also always a very musical guy, and he always loved music. And when I began to show some interest in music, I remember there was this old acoustic guitar that he gave me, and it was just, you know, laying there, and I was like 10, 11-year old, and I started to learn by myself, like some bass lines. You know,
Mm.
I wasn't able to play the chords yet, but I could do some bass lines. Like I was 11, 12-year old, and I started. You know, I would hear songs, and I would find you know, the main notes, and play only the bass lines, like do something really simple. And I was trying, but it showed him that I had ear, and I could hear
Mm.
the notes, and I could reproduce them in the instrument. And when I was 13 years old, he gave me a guitar on my birthday, and I got this Washburn guitar, and I started studying guitar with this guy from my town that is a famous guitar teacher here, called Kawe. His name is Kawe. Very cool guy. We're friends still. Yet today we are good friends, and he's an amazing teacher. So I remember I started studying guitar with him, and I had like 6 years straight of lessons with him, and I learned a lot. A lot of what I know I learned from him. You know, and well, during those years, from my 13th year till my 17, 18 years, I started listening more to metal, because in the beginning I used to listen more to grunge, you know, punk stuff that was easier to find, because we're talking about the 90s in Brazil. So there was no internet, you know. There was, it wasn't so easy to get a hold of new material of music, you know. You had to know someone that you know, that's already a headbanger, and he would take you to that specific store that is
Right.
hidden somewhere in downtown, you know, and you could go there and buy the CDs and vinyls or whatever. But back then, I remember I didn't know much people that were headbangers. So, but I had it in me, you know. I wanted to listen to heavier stuff. I've always wanted to, but it was hard to find. So I remember a couple of years after that, I think I was 15 years old, there was this good friend of mine that he studied together with me in school. He also liked rock and roll, and his older brother had a big collection of CDs and lots of stuff of metal. And he started to steal some CDs from his brother collection,
Right.
and bring to class for us to listen during class in the school, and I got this little Discman, the one that plays the CDs, with one of these headphones. We could split them because one to his ear and one to mine, and
Right.
and and we could listen to music during class, and nobody would know we were listening. So I remember this day that he came to the school with a CD from Pantera, the Great Southern Turnkill, the one with the snake on
Right.
the cover. And I remember looking at the snake and the name Pantera, and I was like, Pantera. That doesn't sound heavy. That was the first thing that came to my mind when I read the name. But it blew me away. Actually, that CD was the first CD that I heard that was actually metal, heavy stuff. And I remember the first song, sort of that screaming with the fast drumming, and it really caught me. I remember I opened my eyes like this, and I was, holy fuck, this is great. This is what I was looking for, And I just found out I was a headbanger, So it never stopped from there.
Right. Right. Yeah. I mean, Pantera definitely is. They were really the band to put out that the groove metal sound, right? That they really created that, and then bands like Sepultura took it, and it's really
Yes,
Pantera,
yes,
right?
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and they had the whole thing. They had the groove and they had the hate. They had
Mm,
the energy, and they
yeah.
have the musicianship. They were amazing musicians. Dimebag still, to me, is the greatest guitarist in all times in metal. So it was a big influence on me, and it was cool because it's funny how the musicianship thing in metal is very big. There's a lot of good players in metal. And when I started listening to that, I started listening to Pantera, and I started to listen to other metal bands and melodic metal, and I got this record from Yngwie Malmsteen, Rising Force.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy fuck, dude, well, these guys are playing something that I'm not never gonna be able to play. So it really caught me, and it made me want to study the instrument. It was a challenge that I embraced. So back then I was just a teenager. I had no responsibilities in life. I could just, fuck school, dude. I'm gonna play the whole day. And it was pretty much what I did. I went to school, of course, because I had to. But when I got home, I would turn the guitar on, and I would play the whole day until night. And I did this for a long time, and this helped me out a lot. I used to play 8 to 10 hours every day. So this made me learn my instrument more. This made me be better at guitar, and it was a big period of learning. I have a deep respect for that period because it was important for me as a musician. It's where I created the technique, and I created everything that are the tools that I still use nowadays. It's
Yeah.
important to have the time to dedicate yourself to your instrument like that.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about growing in the 90s and about the metal scene in Brazil during that time. Do you remember watching shows, and tell me a little bit about that?
Sure. I started watching shows in the end of the 90s, because in the beginning of the 90s I was too young.
Yeah.
uh, but I was born in 84. So basically 94 I was 10 years old.
Right.
So when I was 15 years old, we're talking about 99 or 98 to 99. So the first gig that I remember going was actually an Angra show. You know Angra, the
Angra, yeah.
Brazilian
Yes.
melodic metal band. It was 1999, and they were in the tour of Fireworks, the last record that André Matos recorded as a vocalist. And they played here, and I went to this show, and I was already starting to think about having my own band and all that, you know. Yeah. And I founded a band with some friends back in 99 called Chaosphere from Recife, the same name as Meshuggah's album, Chaosphere.
Right.
And we started pretty much in the 2000s. And 2 years after, in 2002, we were opening a show for Angra here in Recife. The first time that I got up on a stage in front of a lot of people, actually. We're talking about 2,000 to 3,000 people. So it was really crazy experience to me. I was 17 years old, you know, and we always had a very active scene here, a very active underground scene as well. Many local bands, many local shows, you know, with the audience always there, lots of people supporting, you know. So you have an idea, like my band back in the day, if we did a show of ourselves and two more local bands, we would have like 500 to 600 people, you
Wow.
know. So it was a pretty cool scene in the beginning of the 2000s, in the end of the 90s, yeah. Then it got colder, you know, but it's cyclic, you know. Something, it goes up and down, you know. The scene, every underground scene, I think it's a bit like that.
Yeah. Also, the late 90s, early 2000s, the sort of the new metals came up, right? A lot of new metal was
Yeah, yeah,
the thing, right? Back in that.
definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. I'm not a big fan of new metal, to be honest, you know. But
Right.
I actually, in the beginning, I used to hate those bands. I used to find it. I used to think it was pure shit, you know.
Right.
But then after a few years, I started to listening to some of them. You know, nowadays I pretty much like all of them. Not all of them, actually. There are some bands that I never liked, but I started. For instance, the first time I heard Slipknot, I hated it. And nowadays I fucking love Slipknot. So
Yeah.
but I think that's a part of the evolution, you know, of the process, you know, of the learning process of music, you know, because when you're young, you're a bit radical, you know, with metal and all that. It's normal.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you become the thing with the younger fans is they sort of become tribal, and they just say, okay, I'm in this, I love this genre, and I love only these bands. But you know, there's a world beyond that, right? There's so many amazing bands, not just
Yes,
metal. There's so many amazing genres. You
sure.
mentioned Slipknot. One thing that I was actually supposed to watch Slipknot in 2020. They were supposed to come here. The show got canceled, uh, you know, because of this. But what happened in 20, I think it was 2019 or 2018, you know, the Joey Jordison, he had a band called Sinsanum. He created a band called Sinsanum, and then they actually played in our village. There was this like a warehouse. They came here in Manila, and then the concert was just like I walked from my house to the venue. It was like just 1 block away. I couldn't imagine that the guy from Slipknot actually just played in our village, right? It's
That's cool. That's
yeah.
really cool.
Yeah, and I was able to meet him, and it was so sad that Joey actually passed away, right? It's really.
Yeah, me too. He was one of the greats. He was amazing, that guy. He
Yeah.
was truly amazing. I've seen Slipknot live a couple times with him, and super powerful.
Amazing, yeah.
Super,
Amazing.
yeah, truly, truly powerful.
So Antonio, how is the journey from? So you started your own band, Chaosphere, and you're performing. How did you get involved with Korzus?
Well, it's a bit of a long story, but I'm going to try to synthesize it. It's a well, Chaosphere. We decided to record a full album. This was around 2005. We had like 10, 11 songs, and we wanted to make an album. But back then it was hard to find people, you know, producers and studios that would know how to do metal, you know, because it's very specific, the way it sounds and the way it has to be mixed and everything. So back then in Recife, we were not aware of any studios that we could do it. I had a studio myself, but I was still learning, you know. So we had this idea that we would bring some producer from Sao Paulo to record it in my studio. And the producer that we chose was Eros Trench, the second guitarist of Korzus, you know. He is a Grammy Award winner producer, you know. He and Pompeu, the vocalist as well. They have a studio that is called Mr. Son Studios. So they're really experienced, you know, and I remember that we listened to Ties of Blood, that's a Korzus CD that was released in 2004. And the sound of it really amazed us. We were like, fuck, dude, this sounds you know, like a big gringo band, you know. It doesn't sound like an underground band. It really sounded huge, the CD. And we were like, yeah, we gotta get this guy to produce us and all that. And I did some calls, and I got his telephone number, and we managed to bring him to Recife, and he stayed here for 3 months. And he did the whole production, and he recorded it, and he mixed it. And nowadays, if you go on YouTube and you write Chaosphere, you write "Hell is Here" is the name of the
Sorry,
CD.
sorry, Antonio. Can you check your mic because it keeps
Can you hear
on.
me?
Yeah, now it's okay. Yeah,
It's better now.
yeah, better.
So if you go on YouTube now and you write Chaosphere, "Hell is Here," you can listen to this CD in particular. And we became good friends, you know, me and Eros, and we never lost contact. He's an amazing producer, an amazing guitarist, and he really liked our work, and he really liked the way I play too. So in the beginning of 2008, the original guitarist from Korzus, that is called Silvio Golfetti, he left the band. He left the band definitely, you know. For personal reasons, he couldn't keep up with the band anymore, and he left the spot. So I remember that Eros was talking to me on the internet about this, and he was like, "Dude, we're really frustrated. We don't know where we're going from now because you know Silvio was an important part of the band, you know.
Right.
So we don't know how to replace him. We don't know if we can replace him, you know." And I was like, "Well, you guys need a guitarist, you know. I'm a guitarist, so if you guys wanna try me, I can go there and make a test with you guys and see what happens." And he was like, "Yeah, are you serious, dude?" I said, "No, I'm completely serious, dude." He said, "Well, but you live in Recife. We're from Sao Paulo." I said, "Well, fuck it. I go to Sao Paulo. There's no problem." So in the beginning of 2008, I went to Sao Paulo. I did a test, and 15 days after that, I was playing the first show in front of 9,000 people in Maquinaria Festival. Korzus, Sepultura, Tristânia, Biohazard, Ratos de Porão, many bands. It was a big festival. It was my first show with Korzus. So it's a story that began in 2008. It's been more than 13 years right now that we're together. We already have 2 CDs that we did, and a new single that we released a couple of months ago on YouTube and streaming as well. And lots and lots of stories, tours and everything.
Yeah, I really love the album Discipline of Hate. Of course, I love the previous albums like Ties of Blood. That's also really great album. But Discipline of Hate, I've been listening to Truth and Vampira and all this. It's really amazing. You guys have a new single which was released just this year, right?
Yeah, yeah. The single is called "You Can Stop Me."
You can't stop me. Yeah.
It has a pretty cool video, an amazing video that was produced by uh, our good friend Leo Liberti. He's an amazing video producer. He worked with Megadeth, Europe, many bigger bands, and he's really good. He's really amazing video producer. So if you see the video in YouTube, it's truly a great quality video,
Right.
and the
Right.
whole story behind it is pretty cool. The whole idea, the whole concept of the song and of the video is pretty interesting. We're talking about cycles of violence. We're talking about the ability to choose your words wisely. Choose your actions wisely, because we have this belief that everything that you do and say somehow comes back to you. So the whole story talks about that. Talks about the law of return. We can say it like that. So it's pretty interesting. It's a cool video. Uh, there's a main character in the video that is a horned demon that does a performance during the video. He has a symbol on his forehead that it's called Ouroboros. That is a snake. It's a round snake that eats its own tail.
Right.
And symbolizes the return. Symbolizes coming back and forth on the same energy. So we had this whole concept behind it, and it's pretty cool. We're pretty proud of it. By the way, the guy that does this character on the video is called Christian Cavalera. He's the son of Igor Cavalera, the drummer
Wow.
from
Right.
original drummer from Sepultura.
The Calavera brothers, right? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So you going to this, like you mentioned you went to this gig, like the first gig was Angra, and then like and then you're after many years you're playing with Korzus, one of the, I think one of the like pioneering metal bands of Brazil, right? Along with Sepultura, and then you're
Yeah,
playing Rock in Rio. You perform on the Rock in Rio, which is like where like Iron Maiden perform, right? So it's
yeah.
how's that experience performing in Rock in Rio, such a big festival?
It's crazy, man. It's a bit surreal, for especially for us Brazilians. Rock in Rio is a very important festival. It started everything. In '85, I think Rock in Rio actually turned the table in Brazil for rock and roll and metal in general.
Mm,
So it's a festival that it's everybody dreams in playing Rock in Rio, at least one time, and I already accomplished that, and it was really special moment, and it's really cool because in Rock in Rio, it's a funny thing. It's an eclectical festival. It's not only a rock festival as many people think.
right.
They have several days with several musical styles and Brazilian musical styles and all that. But always the first day that is sold out is the metal day, always. So when they announce the days, the first day that gets sold out is the metal day, always. This is a
Right.
rule. So we have this passion, of the Brazilian headbangers. And when they go there, they have this reverence for the audience has this reverence for the Brazilian bands that play there, because it's sort of a feeling that we all get, that fuck, dude, these guys deserve to be here, and it's really good to see one of our bands here. And it's a very special day indeed. And well, I can only be grateful for the opportunity and for the chance to be playing with these guys. Playing metal on the third world is something that you do because you love, you know. You don't make money out of it. You make very little money, you know,
Right.
but you keep doing it, you know. You give it away, do it, you know. And it's really compensating, because it's something about passion. It's something about doing the art that you believe to be yours, truly yours, you know. So in those 13 years playing with Korzus, I believe I have gathered a big collection of good stories and good memories.
Yeah, I mean, basically, you contributed to the metal scene of Brazil, right? Like one of the biggest scenes if, in the world,
Yeah,
I
well,
would.
I can say I've been a part of it.
Yeah, right. So you also have another band called One Arm Away, right? Which I believe you also do the vocals on that band.
Yes, yes, I do the vocals. Yeah, yeah. Well, back then, Chaos Fear used to be vocalist.
Right.
I was guitar and vocals. So I think it was around 2010 that I started writing the One Arm Away CD. I was I had this inspiration, you know, for a couple songs that wouldn't fit on courses, you know. And I decided to sing again. I haven't sang in a while, you know. And singing is an ungrateful thing because you have to be always singing, because we're talking about muscles, you know. It's like doing some kind of sports. If you don't keep doing it, when you get back on it, you're not as good as before, you know, because the muscles are weaker, you know. It's the same thing with the voice.
Right.
But I said, well, fuck it, I'm gonna try to make it again, you know. And I had this idea, I had this whole concept for a new project, a new band, lyrics and everything. It came all to me, you know. I have this crazy thing with songwriting, you know. I have these inspirations that I get, that sometimes it seems to me that it comes from elsewhere, you know. It's kind of hard to explain. uh, Back then I was living in Sao Paulo, and I had this inspiration about I just read a book called The Devil's Weed. I don't know if you ever heard of it.
No.
It's from a writer called Carlos Castaneda from Mexico,
Hmm.
and it's kind of a mystical, philosophical, fictional book, but it's really cool. It's amazing. And this book talks about a shaman, you know, an Indian, a Yaqui shaman from Mexico that is teaching this PhD in sociology from the US, that decided to go to Mexico to find out more about the peyote usage in rituals. You know, peyote. I don't know if you know what it is. It's a plant that they use that has strong hallucinogenal powers. You know,
Right.
so the Indians use this, you know, they eat it and they go in trance and have this experiences, you know, and have all this learning about themselves and all that. So uh, I remember this part of the book. There was this passage where they were in the middle of the woods, and the Indian told the guy, because the guy, in many passages of the book, this the PhD, the guy from the city guy, you know, he undermined the Indian. He was like, no, he's an ignorant Indian, you know, he doesn't know everything that I know.
Right.
So it's not possible that he can teach me so much, you know. He would undermine him, and he would think more of himself because he was a city guy with a PhD and all that. And the Indian told him this lesson. He said, well, we are going to the woods and we're spending the whole night there. You're going to eat this he used to say there was meat of power, the power meat. There was basically a dry meat with pieces of peyote in it, that you would eat and you would go in trance after a while, and so they went to the woods, and he explained, the guy, and he told, well, you just look to me. At some point, I'm gonna signal you, and I want you to look to your left, you know. And he said, all right, I'll be watching you. And they stood the whole night sitting on rocks in the middle of the woods. And the Indian told him, at a certain point, he said, all right, you can look to your left. And he looked to his left, and he screamed in agony, and threw himself on the ground crying, and he described the situation uh, as if there was a huge predator by his side that would literally eat him alive, so he
Right.
felt that fear in his stomach, you know and he said it was he described it as a terrifying thing, truly terrifying. And he was, what the fuck was that? What was that I saw? He was panicking, and the Indian, the shaman, told him, don't worry, it's not going to get you now. It's going to get you someday, eventually, but not now. What you saw was your death,
Right.
and we are, all of us, our deaths. They are always at our side, at our left side, at one arm distance, one arm away,
Right.
you know. So this is the story that made me want to call the band One Arm Away. It's about the imminence of death and the importance of death, as a reminder of humility and of self-improvement. So the whole thing about One Arm Away, it's really an artistical thing. It's really a project that only got to the stage one time. We only did
Mhm.
one show, uh, but it's a project that is very close to my heart because it's very personal. It's about self-knowledge, it's about philosophy and self-knowledge, and knowing myself through art, so this is what One Arm Away represents to me.
Right. Yeah, because I actually felt when I checked out some of the songs like Blind Stupidity and Oblivion Divinity, right? So I felt that this was more of your like your solo band. I felt it like this is your solo because it's so much you compared to the
Yeah.
other bands that you were playing. Yeah, it
Yes.
felt really
Mm.
right. So
Yeah, it's everything is mine. All the songs, all the lyrics, everything is mine in One Arm Away. It's actually as if it was a solo band. But I have great partners. I have Edu Garcia in drums, and I have Felipe Andreoli on bass. That is the bassist of Angra as well.
right,
So it's a very cool project, and I still hope to do another album with it.
right. Uh, Actually, just before the pandemic, I was able to see there was this surge of Brazilian bands came here. We got Chrisen, Nervosa, and then Nervo Chaos. They all performed here like months apart. And I know you did some work with Nervo Chaos as well, right? Session work.
Yeah, I know I do. I know I do. I know all of them, and they're good friends. Nervo Chaos is a fighter band. They've
Right.
always been around. They've always been a true underground band. They are always touring, always playing, always making it happen, no matter how, no matter what. And I have a big respect for them.
Yeah, they were really great band. I think they came here just before they had another lineup change. They came here and then went back and they had a sort of a lineup change. I remember at some point Brian Werner was supposed to be part of the band as well, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He almost was part of the band, but then they had some problems, and he got out of the band.
Yeah, right. Antonio, one thing I think the reason I was attracted to you or because I saw in the Instagram your beard because I'm
Ah,
like promoting this having a man should have a beard sort of thing. And I saw how long you've been growing the beard. I know definitely you probably trimmed it already, right? Few times.
I've been, I've had a big beard for a long, long time. It's I think at least 12 years, you know, 10 to 12 years. Back in the beginning, when I joined Korzus, my beard wasn't big, but then I started leaving it bigger. And I think it got to the point where I really stopped cutting it, and
Mm,
I let it go wild. And then I think I got to stay 5 years without any kind of, you know, just trimming, you know, and see where it goes from there. And it got really big, but it got big to the sides too. And then I started to you know, making a better design, if I can say like that. But
right.
anyways, it's something that's already a part of me, you know. And I used to have a long hair too, but then I got bald, you know, little by little, and I started to go all the way bald, you know. So I shaved my head, and I like the thing, you know, the bald big beard. I think is a cool combination.
Right. Yeah, that's a really great combination. I've been growing. I actually started also during the pandemic. I started last year, and thought of, because I'm not going to work anymore. I'm not really facing anybody anymore. So I thought maybe just let it grow, and then it became part of my sort of signature. So I cannot shave it off now. So
Yeah, I know how it is, man. And when you leave it, when you grow it, you're always a little. You don't want to take it anymore. You know, it's like it becomes a part of you.
right. So, Anthony, so I know that you use you endorse actually Jackson guitars, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
So
I use.
what guitars do you have? What models do you have?
I have three King V's. I have one Scott Ian model. I have two Demolitions from Phil Demo from Machine Head.
Right.
Uh, a red one and a white one. They're both Japanese. The Scott Ian is an X series from Indonesia. I also have a seven strings X series Snow White. It's a pretty cool guitar. I have another six strings that is Chris Broderick signature, a soloist,
Right.
Pro Series. Also have the crown jewel that is my USA soloist, the SL1 made in USA. This one is from 1991. It's a pretty special guitar. It's right here actually.
Right. Wow. Yeah. Made in USA.
Yeah, this one is my a special one, and I've got all of these, and also got one Gibson, and I have one guitar that is kept in a vault here. Is made by Brazilian luthier. It's called Music Maker, and he did a guitar with my name on it. It's a
Mm,
Flying V. It's pretty cool.
right.
But well, I think since 4 to 5 years ago, I became an official Jackson artist. They put my name on the website, you know, in the artist section, and it's truly an honor to me because it's a brand that I really love, and I use it with uh, reverence, you know. So it's pretty cool to be a part of the team.
Yeah. I mean, there's amazing line of guitarists who is part of the Jackson, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah. It's a big deal.
Yeah. I've been hearing a lot of lately. I've been hearing a lot of news about Gibson as well. They actually started a record label also, right?
Gibson?
Yeah, Slash. They said the next album of Slash will be released through the new label of Gibson.
Well, I didn't know that. I had no idea. I know that they got Dave Mustaine, you know, as an
Yes.
artist, he went to Gibson, but that's all I heard so far.
Right. So, Antonio, did you ever go and tour outside of Brazil with the bands?
Yeah, sure. It's been a while actually since we went outside of Brazil, but we already went to Chile, Austria, Germany, Switzerland, Belgium. Korzus has toured in the US already, not with
Mm.
me. In England as well, not with me. But anyways, we've been around, and in Brazil, pretty much everywhere.
Right. So, what's happening now? Hopefully, like as you said, there's a bit of hope that things will go somewhere where we can go back to the show. So, what's happening? What are you working on these days? What's going to come? In the near future.
Well, we are working on new songs for Korzus. We want to release more singles as soon as possible. We are planning right now with Matanza Ritual. That is another band that I play here in Brazil. We already have dates announced for March and April for 2022.
Right.
Uh, and we have 9 dates, I believe, that are announced already. Korzus has no dates announced yet, but we should be announcing something soon. We are just expecting to have more safety regarding scheduling dates, because we don't want to be postponing anything. We
Right.
want to schedule something definitive.
Yeah. Can you tell me a little bit about Matanza Ritual, because it sounded completely different from all your other bands.
Yes, it's interesting actually. Matanza is a Brazilian band it's called they have a very particular style of music. It's called country core, you know.
Hmm.
They have this mixture of hardcore and country music.
Wow.
Uh, yes, and it's pretty cool. And they play in Portuguese, and they got really big here in Brazil. They have big audience. But the band split, and they separated. So the vocalist, the original vocalist, the star of the band, his name is Jimmy. He decided to do a tour playing the Matanza songs again. So he chose the special team of musicians to do it, and he founded Matanza Ritual. That is our project. So basically, in the beginning, it was only a tour that we
Hmm.
would do, playing the songs from this band, Matanza.
Right.
But then we got along very well, we became good friends, and we started writing songs already. So it's becoming a band as well. So we should be making a CD somehow. So, in a couple months, we should be starting to record something, and it's being pretty interesting too.
Right. I'm quite surprised how you managed to, like, Korzus has a big catalog of songs, and then one arm away, lockdown, Matanza. How do you manage to keep everything, like when you're playing? Like, it's so many
I
different songs.
honestly, I honestly don't know, man. I have this. It's a funny thing because I'm not a good memory person. I
Right.
have a bad memory. I don't remember things very well. So normally when we're talking about life facts, I have a hard time remembering some things. My memory is not that good, but
Right.
for music, it is really good. So when I write something, that I created, uh, it pretty much sticks in my mind forever. And I play that shit, and even if I spend years without playing it, if I start playing the first note, everything comes back to me. So this happens, of course, with the songs that I wrote, and this also happens with the songs that I have played for a long time. Like all the choruses song that I didn't write, but I played
Right.
so many times that even during this pandemics, that I spent so many times without rehearsing the choruses song. The other day I got the guitar and I started playing them, and I played them all, you know. So I have this very good memory for music, at least.
Yeah, it's so Antonio, what's your message to the viewers of this podcast, people who's going to watch this video?
Well, first of all, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you, Channa, for the invitation. It was a pleasure. You're a very cool guy. Uh, to everybody watching this, I hope you all are safe, safe and sound, with good health, and you have passed through all these bad times in one piece. And if you still don't know any of my projects, please go online and check them out. If you want, you can follow me on Instagram. My Instagram is Antonio KZS. It's 3 letters, KZS, Antonio KZS on Instagram. And you can follow me there and get a hold of all the bands and all the stuff that I do and I did. And you can always go on YouTube and check out the official YouTube channel for Korzus, that is KZS Videos. There are lots of stuff there too, and just stay close and I'll wait for news.
Right. So, Antonio, it's a pleasure to have you here, and I'm really great. I'm really gratitude for this able to connect with you, and because I know that Korzus band like Korzus was not a lot of people here in this region, for example, doesn't know about them. So I wanted to like expose them to, they have so much amazing music, and you're doing a great job of putting it out there, and and all your other projects are really amazing. So thank you for doing that sort of music and keeping metal alive, and um, I wish you all the best. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys someday live.
I hope so, John. Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Thank you, Antonio. Have a great evening.
You too, brother. Take care. Bye bye.